Welcome to Codex, History of Video Games. My name is Tyler Osby.
And I'm Mike Coletta.
And this week, we are going to talk about a game, an old game from the 90s, a very influential game, very important game in the history of video games.
Of video games?
Of video games. And that game is the original Diablo.
Diablo, the original Diablo. So this is, the reason we're doing this is, one, we hadn't done it, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
All right. Although, you know what? I did not check. Can you double check right now, live on the podcast?
I don't think we have, because I don't have a memory.
I don't think we have either. But I'm like, I didn't actually check, I realize now. And maybe I should have.
I just did a quick search on our Google Drive, and when I typed in Diablo, I got your notes for this episode, but I did get worried for half a second.
But nothing else. Okay, so we're going to go for it.
I mean, we've talked about it before. But
yeah, I'm sure we have. We've talked about a lot of Blizzard stuff, but we haven't actually done anything. So I just kind of wanted to do Diablo because I'm playing Diablo 4 right now, Lord of Hatred, so it's on my mind. And then I realized that Diablo 1 and 2 are very much formative games for me. This is very much a selfish thing I'm doing here, okay? Is I'm doing it for me, which is, it's our podcast. That's why we do it, right?
Yeah, I think you should always do things for you. Don't do anything for anybody else ever.
Thank you. But we should really talk about it. So we're going to go ahead and cover it right now. Are you ready, Tyler? Are you ready for it?
I'm super ready, yeah.
Okay, so we have to start the way we always do, with the grime facts, all right? And I'm going to tell you right now that for the grime facts, it's kind of nice because this game is so famous that we actually have all the info, which is pretty cool, right? Because that's something I feel like you don't normally get a lot of the time. But I'm pretty stoked. Let's get into it. So the developer is Blizzard North, but originally it was called Condor Incorporated. And I got some like contrary release dates on this one, but it like I have Windows December 31st, 1996, but it also had a January date for worldwide. So I'm going to say January 1997, but really it was before 1996 for some people. Yeah. I think it's one of those times where like it said it came out in 1996. Was it available to everyone in 1996? Probably not.
Yeah.
Probably 97, but technically it first came out in 1996, December 1996.
If it had like a real release thing, which games didn't always do back in the day, like where they had like, this is the moment the game becomes available, like then it just became available when it became available, and maybe time zones are a thing, right? Like somebody in Europe got them at a different time. I don't know.
Yeah, it was one of those weird things. Like I have December 31st, 1996, but then you look at other places, like for example, you look at like Wikipedia and it says January 1997, and that's coming from Diablo, like Blizzard's own information. But we have some people saying 1996, so I don't really know.
But we got two answers. New Year's Eve party. We were playing Diablo.
Yeah, it could have been. It could have straight up been a New Year's situation. It came out later on PlayStation in 1998 and then Mac OS in 1998, and then it was re-released digitally on Good Old Games in 2019, which is kind of important because that's the first time they've done like a DRM-free version of it. So we'll talk about that. It's modernized as well. Let's go to the systems though. It originally came out on Windows and then Mac OS and then PlayStation, as I said. But the best way to play this game, what I would recommend, is that you purchase the game legally. Obviously.
Don't purchase it illegally because that's weird.
On Good Old Games, or you could do it on Blizzard. I actually did it through Blizzard before I realized it was on Good Old Games. Otherwise, I would have done it on Good Old Games just personally. DRM free, I think, is the way to be. But then what you do is you download something called Devolution X. And Devolution X is a port of Diablo and the Hellfire expansion that modernizes it and lets you tweak certain settings for like quality of life, is kind of how I would describe it.
I think it adds decent controller support too.
It does. It also fixes a lot of bugs too.
That's why you can play this thing on everything. I think it'll even run on a Miu Mini. I think there's a Devolution X port for the Miu Mini.
There is, because when you go to the Devolution X GitHub page, there is something for what seems like every single system in the history of man. That's what it seems like.
It's as ported as Doom.
In the history of humanity, it's all there. So the number of copies sold is approximately 2.5 million copies. That's from Game Reviews in 2010. That's where I found that figure. The genre or gameplay style is an action RPG. action role playing, ARPG, hack and slash dungeon crawler. I don't know what you want to call it. I call them ARPGs. That's what I say. Is that what you say, Tyler?
That's what I say these days, or I just say like Diablo if I'm describing it to somebody. I'll be like, it's an RPG. It's like Diablo.
It's like Diablo, right? I mean, that's what I did when Borderlands came out. I was like, it's like Diablo with guns. I told my friends. So the Metacritic score. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped ahead. Average time to complete from howlongtobeat.com is 15 hours. For a completionist, it's 20 to 25 hours. I would say when you add the Hellfire expansion, it's going to add some time to it too, and that's where that completionist comes from. Metacritic score is a 94 out of 100. It's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Real good.
You know, I'm kind of sad that I skipped this one. I really haven't played this one.
Okay, well, you know what? Now you could play it. There's no excuse not to.
Yeah.
You know, it really isn't an excuse not to play this one. And guess what? I'm going to tell you right now, as someone who's been playing it all week, it holds up. It slaps. It rips. It's really fun. I actually got kind of lost in the sauce playing it earlier, and I lost track of time, and I was almost late to a dinner because of it. They said that to me at a dinner. So let's talk about gameplay, though. So gameplay, I want to say that Diablo is like, this is pretty much where action RPGs as we know them come from, right? It's kind of one of the first to do it.
It's like the Doom of action RPGs.
Yeah, is it the first to do it? No, but it's the first to do it really well, I would say, is how I would describe it. So you choose from 3 classes. That's right. In the base game, there are only 3 classes. We'll talk about the other classes later that get added, but warrior, rogue, or sorcerer. And you go through 16 dungeon levels, and the dungeons are randomly built. So each playthrough is different. It doesn't change on you when you go back in, but the design is built differently for you. So you're like, you'll remember where you were, but if you play a whole new game, it's going to change.
Okay.
Right?
So it stays the same. Like if you go up, if you leave and come back, it's the same for each playthrough, but every playthrough is different.
Yeah. I don't want to say it's procedurally generated because it's not procedurally generated. It is randomized though. So the maps have patterns that combine together that are different, essentially.
Gotcha.
But it's not building the dungeon as you go. It's like, how I'm guessing it works is when you start the game builds like kind of like a Minecraft seed-esque kind of thing and makes the pattern for what the dungeon's going to look like. And then it goes from there and it saves your spot. But there are 4 subsections to this dungeon. That's right. The whole game takes place in one dungeon. That's also something that I thought was really cool. As a kid, I thought this was the coolest idea. And I even thought it was cooler than Diablo 2 when that came out.
Oh.
So, I mean, like the idea of it being a dungeon, I think Diablo 2 is a better game, and that's the game I played more, but I thought that the idea that you're a hero going into one dungeon and that's the entire game was a really cool idea. So the first 4 levels are the cathedral, then levels 5 through 8 are the catacombs, 9 through 12 are the caves, and then 13 through 16 is just hell, is what it's called. You're in hell.
Dang.
So you're literally taking a dungeon to hell. Isn't that cool?
So not only is it the Doom of ARPGs, but it is also, I don't know where I was going with that, the ARPG of Doom. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's Doom the ARPG.
I think so. Yeah, I think it's the Doom of ARPGs, and I would say that Doom is the Diablo of first-person shooters.
There you go.
That's what I would say.
Okay.
That's how I would describe it. So combat takes place in real time. It uses point and click. So you point and click to move. There's hotkeys on the keyboard for buttons, but you're mostly using your mouse. And then the big thing about this game is enemies will drop random loot, right? So the way that David Brevik, who is one of the creators of Diablo and the founder of Condor Inc. that later becomes Blizzard North, says this was inspired by games like Rogue and Angmar and Moria, which I love that the 2 of those names for those games are just ripped from Lord of the Rings, but they really leaned into the slot machine aspect of the game. So the way he describes it in the primary source I used is you like pull a lever and it's going to decide what that enemy drops for you. Like it runs a slot machine. Is it going to drop nothing? Is it going to drop armor, weapons, gold, potions, scrolls, a magic tome? You don't know what's going to come out, right? And that's what I'm going to say that's the major gimmick of Diablo, is that it's randomized loot. And that's one thing that I think stood out to a lot of people, and that's what people loved. So character progression comes from leveling up, which then you increase certain abilities, very RPG-like. You got your strength, you got your magic, all that stuff. And then you learn new spells. I thought this was interesting by finding magical tomes. There are no skill trees in this game. You have to find the spell in the dungeon to use the spell. And while some people would find that frustrating, myself included, when I'm searching for a very particular spell right now and I can't find it. I also get it, and I think it's kind of cool.
Yeah, well, and
Because
it means that like if the spells are random too, then it means that every playthrough, not only are the dungeons random, but like sort of even if you pick the same class every time, you're still going to get like a different kind of build potentially.
yeah, the way that David Brevik, and I'm paraphrasing here, this isn't in my notes, but what he described in the interview I watched is he described it as like, we wanted every person's experience to be different, but it's not different as in everything's random. And it's different as in you're playing the same character, but your level's going to look different. The loot you find is going to be different. It's going to tell your story is going to be different because of what you find in the dungeon and how the dungeon's laid out, which I think is kind of cool. Right.
Yeah, that's cool. That's neat.
Yeah. So it was important to note, like to Brevik and then the other developers, that you could use any weapon if you had the stat leveled up. So he talked in the video about how, I'll talk about what video I used in a bit, but he talked in the video about how you played D&D and like you're a wizard, you're not allowed to use a certain weapon. You're not allowed to use a warhammer, right? Like you can't do that. It doesn't let you. Or a video game that won't let you. Not necessarily D&D, you can do whatever you want. It's your brain. But in a video game, it's like you can't do that in a lot of old RPGs. What he wanted is like, hey, if you want to be a wizard and carry a big club, if you got the strength strat for it, go for it. Like you can do it, right? If you got the strength, you can do it. Should you be putting strength points into your sorcerer? No, you should not be doing that. But
but you
could,
can.
you want to.
But you can if you want to. Yeah, I appreciate that in games, although it does feel a little bit like a trap, like you said, because like should you be putting points into strength? Probably not. But
yeah, and you can get trapped in this game.
Yeah,
if you really goof it, you can mess up. So I think the way I'm doing it now is okay. You go.
Yeah. One of my favorite things about RuneScape, at least when I played it like 25 years ago, I don't know if it's still like this, I think it is that there were no classes in the game and everything was just stats, right? And so your class was whatever you built. I love when games do that, when they just like have no class and just like, I don't know, pick your own stats that you want to do, build your own class. That's kind of neat.
I mean, that's what Skyrim did, right?
Yeah,
Skyrim was
I really
all about,
like that.
I remember the video of being like, hey, you use 2 axes, you're going to level up your dual wield skill. Like they were very clear on that, which I thought was neat. Yeah. I remember that being like a promo video for them.
Yeah, because Oblivion had to like create a class thing, and then Skyrim was like, we're done with classes, just build how you want to build.
I wonder what 6 is gonna do. I feel like they gotta go back. They gotta stay in the, no such thing as stats, just time, just raw time. You don't even see your stats.
Yep.
That would drive people crazy. So the other thing I do like about this system, though, of like anyone can use any weapon they want, you find your spells in the dungeon, the levels change, is it feels like it's like we've talked about the idea of an emergent gameplay, like you're making your own story as you go along. I think this is one of the early games to do that. Even though it is basic and simple as go down in this dungeon and kill enemies, you could have things happen to you that wouldn't happen to anyone else because of what you find in the dungeon and how you build your character, which I think that's pretty neat.
That is cool.
So as I said before, you have the warrior, the rogue, the sorcerer. Then there's the Hellfire expansion, which adds the monk officially, but there are actually 2 other test classes hidden that are the bard and the barbarian. And they're pretty much built so that you can do like their stat trees and everything, or like their skill trees, but not skill trees because there are no skill trees. You can do like their spells they learn and stuff like that or whatever, and you find. But you like the art is just like a warrior is the barbarian. They're the same looking guy, and
it's just like you can't pick them. You can choose to be these things. They're just like not finished.
They're not finished, and you have to change the game files to access them.
Oh, gotcha. Okay,
so they were like kind of an Easter egg on the disc for people to find.
Gotcha.
Like you can play as the barbarian and the bard, but you have to change some things in your game install to get them to show up. And there's no special art for them. They're just the same characters used. I believe it's the same characters used for the rogue and the warrior. They're just changed to a bard and a barbarian.
They're probably like horrifically broken in some way, either very bad or too good.
Mm-hmm. Well, unlocking them now, by the way, is a little bit easier with Devolution X. Again, this game is now almost 30 years old. So, is that right? 30 years old? Yeah, almost 30 years old. So it's got so much documentation. Like any of these things I'm saying, if you want to try to do them, just Google it. It's all over the place. I have my opinions at the end of this for the best way I think. Like Mike's helpful Diablo 1 tips, just based on like the 3 or 4 hours I put into it this week. because I didn't have time to finish it, but it's pretty great, and we'll just go into it. But we'll talk about some more. So here's the basic gameplay loop. I kind of want to do this on games like this now to kind of describe what you're doing. So this is how your day is going to go in Diablo. You're going to go into the dungeon, the Tristram Chapel. You're going to kill some bad guys. When your inventory is full or you're low on health, you're going to go to town, and you can either use a town portal or you can walk the old-fashioned way.
Oh,
You
you're
then
going to
go
use
to your
town
boy.
portals at a certain point.
Yeah.
I imagine you get so deep that you're like, I'm not walking
Dude,
back.
you hate. I had to do that, and I hated it. I had to walk 5 levels, and I was like, "This is the worst right now." And then on the 6th level, the catacombs has a stairway that's a shortcut to town. You're like, "That's nice of them to put in."
Yeah.
But so then, when you get back to town, you go to your best friend Deckard Cain, friend of the podcast, and he says, "Stay a while and listen," which is a classic video game line.
Is he like
and
the Cryptarch
he's kind of like he's the original Cryptarch
from Destiny?
Like, yeah, he's
Hey
the
there,
guy I'm in
Guardian.
person. Like, what you doing there, Guardian? He goes, "Stay a while and listen." Like, that's what he says when you walk up to him. And he tells you stories about like the butcher and the gossip in town. But then he's really there to identify your magic items, because there are certain systems in this game. Are they needed? In my opinion, no, they are not needed. But were they old RPG things? Yes. So they're in there. So you have to identify magic items that drop on the ground. You have to repair your items if they get damaged, which it's just like, why? Why are you doing that? And then on top of that, you go sell and buy all the things you need. You have a very limited inventory. Diablo is famous because his inventory is very Tetris-y. Like, you have to fill in the grid space
Oh,
to
that
like
was
put
the
all
thing
the
that
pieces
games
there.
from around then did. Like, that was a Resident Evil thing too, where it's like the actual like arrangement of your inventory was important because you could fit more or less things based on that.
I loved
like,
it.
Yeah.
When you move one square things onto weird places in the grid, and then you can fit like a sword in there, you feel really good. You're like, that's satisfying. That's a good thing. So you mess with your inventory, you buy whatever you want, you get repairs, you go to whatever store you want. I'm partial, since I'm a sorcerer, to Adria, and I go buy all her magic items. I know she's evil, but she sells the best mana potions around. Okay.
Potion seller.
And then you go back potion seller. And then you go back into the dungeon. And that's pretty much what you're going to be doing. And you're going to be leveling up, exploring floors. It's got this intensity to it because of how it works, where when a door is closed, you can't see in the room, and then you open a door and all the enemies appear, and then you kind of have this freak out moment where you're trying to figure out what to do. Like, how are you going to handle the situation? How are you going to do it? And I love that. And it's very addictive still. I think it's a very addictive thing. And it gets even more addictive in games like Diablo 2. You know what I mean? Like, it gets that slot machine gambling feeling. It and then also the exploring the dungeon. It feels great. I think this game does it so well. And I do think if it was originally a turn-based game like it was supposed to be, it would have been really not as good. So we'll talk
I'm
about
interested
that.
to hear about that though, because
Yeah.
I love a turn-based game. I love a good turn-based.
I know you do. But before we talk about that, we got to talk about the 3 big bads in the game. It's big bad evil guys. Did you know that in this fantasy game? And the first one is the Butcher, who is a demon that's a literal butcher, but he terrified me as a child. I was like maybe 9 or 10 years old, living in Eagle River, playing this game, freaked out at the time. Then King Leoric, who is a big old spooky skeleton king man, and he's kind of funny. He just raises skeletons. He's kind of annoying. And then you have the eponymous Diablo himself, the Lord of Terror. And the weird thing to me is these bosses, like, you think you're supposed to fight him right away. You're not. We got a real Ogo Bogo situation, just so you're aware, because I got destroyed by the Butcher 2 or 3 times before I read the wiki, and it was like, if you're a sorcerer, you probably shouldn't fight the Butcher until like way later in the game, because they're even just like, they're gonna smoke you. They're too strong.
Do you have
like,
to go back and grind, or can you like move on?
I just move through the dungeon. So you just keep moving through the dungeon, and then you go back and fight him again. That's the whole idea. So that's what I'm doing. I have actually encountered both the Butcher and King Leoric, and I've tried to fight them both, and I've died both times. So I've just skipped them and moved on in the dungeon. But these, like, I would just say, like, level up your guy before you go in. Watch a guide. Do whatever you want to do. It's a 30-year-old game. You can live your life in any way you want. So the other big part about this game is it used BattleNet or Battle. I've always called it BattleNet, but I guess it's Battle.net technically.
I think it's one of those things that like when it first came out, we all called it Battle.net, and then like just 30 years later, we have shortened it to BattleNet. I even hear people say BNet.
BNet. So yeah, it uses BattleNet, aka Battle.net, aka BNet, and so you could play with other people online, which was really crazy at the time.
Yeah,
really cool,
in '97, online gameplay was still pretty new.
Yeah, it's really neat. And then the fun fact of the episode, one of the fun facts of the episode, it's not so fun, but it is a fact, is the Hellfire expansion, single player only, does not work on the internet.
That's not fun at all. Does Devolution X maybe?
Yeah, it works now. But back then it didn't work.
Yeah.
So like if you bought the Hellfire expansion in 1998 when it came out, it didn't work like you thought it would. By the way, it was published by Sierra. Did you know that, the expansion? I don't think I wrote this in here because I'm unprofessional, but the Hellfire expansion was not done by Blizzard North.
Interesting.
So,
I wonder if for the online thing, if they like maybe metrics for this kind of thing didn't really exist back then, but they just realized they were like, not that many people are playing online because this is a PC game in 1997 and the internet is like barely a thing.
Yeah, it's probably like a select few people playing online. Like, cause is that still dial-up time?
Oh yeah.
That's still dial-up time.
Yeah, that's prime. That's prime dial-up time.
It's sure. Like, oh, I want to play Diablo. No one make a phone call for 4 hours.
Yeah.
Like that's what we're doing if you're playing online. Also, the other company that made it was the developer was Synergistic Software. They're the ones that made the Hellfire expansion, and it was published by Sierra Entertainment, which I think it said published, but I wanted to get the developer in there too. So that's the gameplay part. Do you have any questions on the gameplay part? I realize we never asked about that.
Have you played the original Torchlight?
No.
Okay.
But
because it sounds extremely,
major influence.
Yes. Well, the original Torchlight sounds like it's just Diablo 1, but with a different aesthetic. Like a steampunk sort of aesthetic, because it is one dungeon. It just keeps going down. It didn't even have multiplayer, actually. Torchlight didn't, the first one.
When did Torchlight come out?
2009. I was playing it in college, and I really, really, really enjoyed. Like, I put a lot of time into the first Torchlight. I had a really good time with it, and I think if I had found Diablo at a different time in my life, I probably would have put that much time into Diablo as well, because I was really digging Torchlight.
I played. So just personal stuff about me. I played Diablo 2 and Diablo 2 expansion every day for a school year, for like the whole school year on my laptop with friends. We would go to my friend Kevin's house and we'd all have our crappy laptops.
Shout out Kevin.
And we'd play it.
You LAN partied with Kevin?
We did, but it was over the internet then. But it was like 2000.
I'm sure you could rig up. Were you playing together?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure you could rig up a
we could. I don't remember how we did it, but it was fun and it was a good time. Yep. And
some of those games so old you could just run a phone line between two computers, like the modems, and just have them talk directly to each other. Some games could do that. That's
really cool. But yeah, that's that. So Diablo 2 was my main squeeze as far as these games go. But Diablo 1 I played when I was a kid, and it legitimately scared me as a kid. The enemies are creepy. I didn't even talk about the enemies in the gameplay section. They're like you got your standard issue like skeleton, spooky, scary skeletons, right? But then you get demons, you get like minotaurs, and there's these little demons. They're like the fallen. They're just creeping, skittering around. You know, I don't like it.
Like the original Flood.
Yeah, very spooky, scary. So, but let's talk about the plot real quick. So, I actually have like the whole. In fact, I'm not even gonna read this plot. This was like me going really deep into it. I think you know what I'm gonna do, because I want it to be kind of a. We're kind of doing a tease of the plot, right?
Sure.
A little tease.
You don't want to spoil this 30-year-old game.
I don't want to spoil this 30-year-old game for anybody, right? So I'm going to do this, and I'm just going to read the little teaser they have on Good Old Games. I think it does a good job of it. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. Traveler, stay a while and listen. Darkness stirs beneath Tristram. An ancient evil sweeps across the land, plunging it into civil war and terrorizing the populace. A mad king, his missing son, and a mysterious archbishop are all pieces of the puzzle you need to hack through. You have journeyed to the source of this evil, the town of Tristram, now inhabited only by a handful of survivors, broken and twisted by the madness that has befallen them. A cathedral stands there, built over the ruins of an ancient monastery. Eerie lights and ungodly sounds are heard echoing through its abandoned halls, and that is where you shall venture. Embark if you dare on a quest to destroy the prime evil.
Whoa.
Doesn't that sound cool?
That does sound cool. Also,
And then
thanks
the
for doing all
Hellfire
the voice and stuff. It's really good.
Oh, of course. Yeah, no problem, dude. I'm trying my best here on a Wednesday. So the Hellfire expansion, it adds it's important to note here. I am going to read my notes on this because the Hellfire expansion is not canon.
Oh, forget about it then.
Keep that in mind. It's not canon. I know. I'm sorry. I know you hate non-canon things. If you say Star Wars Legends in front of Tyler,
Oh
he
my
freaked out.
gosh.
He
And
freaks out.
that one's bad because I was led to believe it was canon until it became not canon. And now
that one
I feel
hurts your feelings.
That one hurts my feelings. I feel misled. I feel lied to, and I feel like they're laughing at me, like John Disney's laughing at me right now.
The first, we covered that earlier this year, the first Shadow of Mordor game. Shadow of War. No, Shadow of Mordor is the first one. Shadow of Mordor is the first one.
Yes.
Not canon, but believable head canon. If you want to be like, that's fine. In my head, I'll just think of it this way.
Mm-hmm.
Shadow of Mordor or Shadow of War completely goes off the rails, apparently. Like, it gets really
You're
bad.
like, oh, it's not canon, huh? Okay, well, you're not going to like what we're doing here.
Yeah, they took that and they ran with it, is what my understanding is, where you're just like, that directly contradicts the plot of the books. Like, it's like kind of like that. So, but that's a fun little side fact. Oh, I actually had a little fun. So that adds a dungeon, by the way. The story is the hero must defeat a powerful demon named Na Cruel, who is threatening Tristram. And the whole idea is that this powerful demon and this wizard who summoned this demon, it's a separate dungeon on the side, essentially. So you could go to a new dungeon. So it's like, cool. Yeah, it just adds another dungeon.
But you can't take your friends.
You can't take your friends. It adds a class, and then it adds those 2 secret test classes, and then it adds 2 new dungeon biome looking things. And the art, I don't think I really talked about this. The art in this game is stunning because it's got that like painted background look that just looks really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And even though it's stationary and your guy's just walking across essentially like a flat plane, it looks really neat. And it's just, it's a vibe is how I will describe it. Now I get to do a little brief aside where I tell you that 3 years ago, I applied to Blizzard in a Diablo lore position. Because this is just very much a funny little tangent. That's me just telling Tyler, because I don't know if I ever told you. And I don't care if it's online because I didn't sign an NDA and I didn't talk about anything. But the funniest part about it was I was like, oh yeah, I know Diablo lore. Like there's Mephisto. And yeah, I know that. That's fine. I'll become like a archivist, librarian, lore person.
Diablo expert. I can do that.
That sounds cool. And then I applied thinking I'll never hear back. And then I got a reply. And the recruiter was like, hey, do you actually know Diablo lore? Called me out. And then I was like, well, now that you said that, no, like, what are you guys talking about? And I bailed on it so fast.
They're like,
but I just thought it was funny.
We're only trying to find real Diablo lore nerds here.
Well, and that's what's wild to me is that's the mistake I realized is that in between Diablo 1 and Diablo 2, it's like there's a lore, right? There's a lore to it. Like I probably would be fine. Diablo 3 opened up a whole thing and there's a bunch of more. And then Diablo 4 opens up even more to it. There's actually a pretty deep lore to Diablo, which you wouldn't think about, but there is. So I just wanted to say that for this plot section.
Sounds like we got some games to play through, my friend.
We do. I love Diablo 1, 2. I liked 3. I played through all of 3. And I liked 4. I think 4 is better than 3, in my opinion. But it's still, they're both fun. But 4 brought back Blessed Hammer Paladin, which is the best thing. I don't know if you ever did that or not.
No, I did not.
You're a paladin and you just spam a button where your guy throws magical hammers in the air and they float around you and kill stuff. It feels very Vampire Survivors-y, but before Vampire Survivors. So, okay, let's get into the development now. So I kept mentioning a video earlier. What I'm referencing is my primary source for this is a very, very well done interview with David Brevik by Ars Technica. And it's on their video series called War Stories. Have you ever watched that?
No, I haven't. But I do love
Ars
Technica.
Good. It's really good. They talk about like different facets of games and challenges they had. So the challenge here was called How One Gameplay Decision Changed Diablo Forever is the name of the war story. You can find it on YouTube. I use that as my primary source, along with like the Diablo wiki, and I actually have all my sources listed down here. I could just read them off. GameSpot, Metacritic, obviously I use that. That Game Reviews 2010 gave me the sales estimate. PC Gaming Wiki had some more stuff about it. But yeah, so I used all that stuff and I just jumped around. But the main source I'm using here is this series. Like, I defaulted to this series. So if you didn't know, David Brevik grew up playing games like Moria, Angband, and Rogue. Later, he taught himself how to program on an Apple II Plus computer.
Nice.
And then Brevik's passion for programming changed and turned into game development. And he started making his own games. And in the interview with Ars Technica, he actually said he started designing Diablo in high school. Like, before he even left high school, he was at like the idea of Diablo was kind of floating around in his head. But Brevik's skills turned into development, and he founded Condor Incorporated, which was a small California studio founded by himself, David Brevik, David Brevik, and then Max and Eric Schaefer are his two co-founders. They're brothers. And I don't know a lot about Max and Eric Schaefer. A better podcaster would have done that, but I really focus on Tim
Schaefer.
I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe they are. Maybe I'm wrong. Are there three brothers?
I don't know.
They look it up for me while I read in here. So they met at Blizzard. They met Blizzard, the studio Blizzard, because then they're Condor Inc. This is kind of a fun story. They met Blizzard while at a trade show because they found out that Condor Inc. was hired to make the Sega Genesis version of Justice League Task Force, while in tandem, Blizzard, then called Silicon and Synapse, was hired to make the Super Nintendo version of the same game. They were both making the same game at the same time, but didn't know each other were making it.
That's funny.
And then what they found out at the game show is both the games were like really similar, like eerily. They have in the video, they show like side-by-side footage of each game, and they do look weirdly like they might have been made by the same person, which is kind of wild, right?
Yeah. And how similar were they to? I guess I assume Justice League Task Force was a PC game that they were.
It's like a side-scrolling beat 'em up kind of game.
Okay,
is what it is. Yeah. So I didn't look up more about Justice League Task Force. Sorry to all the Justice League Task Force fans in the chat. Sorry about that. I didn't look into it. But they actually started a relationship here after seeing this. Their games were very similar. And then Blizzard actually took them to like their hotel where they were showing, like, you know how they show off the special demos to like the special people?
Yeah.
At the thing. They showed them a World of Warcraft, the first World of Warcraft.
Wait.
Well, not World of Warcraft, the first Warcraft.
Oh, I was like,
World
dang.
I typed World of Warcraft because I'm a ding dong, but it's just Warcraft.
Just the first Warcraft. Gotcha.
Yeah, that's just the typo on my part that I'm fixing because I got a little too crazy earlier. So what they said to them was, after seeing Warcraft, they're like, hey, this is really awesome. And then Blizzard was like, yeah, we actually want to publish some games too, if you guys are interested. And when we're done with Warcraft, you should pitch us a game. And then they're like, well, we've actually been working on this game for a while now. It's like rolling around their head. And that game was Diablo.
Nice.
Also, a fun fact about the name Diablo. It's named Diablo after a mountain in the Bay Area, Mount Diablo. They did not realize it meant devil. So they were like, oh, that's kind of coincidental.
So they had this game about the devil, about...
It was called Diablo. And they were just like, yeah, I didn't even know at first it meant Diablo. And they're like, that's kind of on the nose. It's kind of perfect.
Wow. Okay.
That's what he says anyway. Yeah, I don't know if that's real. Yeah, that's what he says.
That's too much of a coincidence for me to just believe. I would need to look this man in his eyes and be like, don't lie to me. This is true.
So they're about 4 months in. So I guess I should say this. They pitched this to Blizzard North, and Blizzard, and they were like, yes. And then before they were Blizzard North, they were Condor. And so they're still Condor at this time. And the original concept is a traditional turn-based rogue-like inspired. It's like inspired by Rogue, Angband, and Moria, those three big games that were a big part of David Brevik's life, right? But then during development, Blizzard officially purchased Condor and turned them into Blizzard North, right? And Brevik describes the relationship as pretty amicable. Like, they had their disagreements, but nothing was crazy. It was just like your standard business relationship. But 3 months into development, Brevik and his team at Blizzard North were contacted by Blizzard. I'm going to call them Blizzard South, but really they're just kind of Blizzard, about
Blizzard
Diablo.
Prime.
Yeah. Yeah. Maximus Blizzardus, about being real time instead of turn-based. So this was actually something thrown out by Blizzard. Like, hey, have you considered making this real time? And what's funny is Brevik was like super against the idea at the time. Like didn't want to do it, not interested. However, in the video they talk about how he sees all these emails from them like, hey, have you thought about that real-time idea? Real time? You thought about that? Have you considered that? Finally, he breaks down and he decides to have a vote. So all of Blizzard North, which was like 15 people at the time, no more than 20 people at the time, decided to vote on whether or not they should try making this game real time instead of turn based. And Brevik voted against it and he lost. The way he describes it was like 4 of them said no, and then everyone else said yes.
Dang.
Yeah. But what's funny though is Brevik was kind of one of the big reasons he was against this idea is he thought it would just take like way too much time. It's going to take a month to do this. But then on one Friday night, he's like, all right, everyone go home. I'm going to work on this over the weekend. And by Saturday morning, he had done it. Like he had turned the game into real time. He describes it as he was hitting skeletons and they were falling down. And he's like, this feels really good. Like I'm onto something here. This feels right. So that's kind of how this became what it was. And then they like the thing about this. So we were talking last week when we talked about Gunpei Yokoi's car ride with Hiroshi Yamauchi. Remember this?
Mm-hmm.
And how if they didn't take that car ride together, we might not ever have a Game Boy, right? If David Brevik never brought this up to a vote or like listened to Blizzard or like we wouldn't have modern action ARPGs potentially, right? Like maybe it probably would have come along some other way, right? Just parallel thinking, it probably would have eventually showed up somehow, but we wouldn't have had Diablo.
Yeah, and those games wouldn't have been inspired by Diablo. They would have been inspired by something else.
Torchlight might have been something else.
Yeah.
You know, might have been inspired by something else. But yeah, so I just a weird thought I had. I know we could probably do this with every single episode we do. We could probably be like, you know, if this didn't happen, we wouldn't have this. But I just was thinking that and it was on my mind. So while David Brevik lost the vote and got nudged by like them, it actually really helped the whole attitude in the office. Like he describes the office as electric after this. Like people were playing the game. They were really loving it. They were killing skeletons. Just, it felt so good. And you know, you're like onto something when everyone's playing your game, right? And they had this new energy. So they were able in that amount of time to like tweak everything they had done previously for a turn-based game and change it to a real-time game. And this is where like, I mean, they always had the loot idea in here, but Brevik explains that loot idea as he wanted to focus on loot because when he was a kid and he played Dungeons and Dragons, that's what he was most excited about.
I was like, what did the monster drop?
Yeah, which I thought was funny because there are people like that, right? We all know people like that. I'm like that sometimes in games where it's like, ooh, a new shiny, like Destiny. That's what Destiny was for us, right? It was get a new shiny gun. Like that's what it is. And so it's just so funny that he took that idea of D&D and he's like, I'm like a whole game based off of this. So it wasn't about the story. It wasn't about talking or role playing.
It's all about the loot.
It's all about the loot. So the late in development, Blizzard did integrate the new Battle.net online service. I don't have a lot about it. I just know it came in late in the game, but that is definitely one of the defining features of the game. And that's something that really moved on into Diablo 2. But let's talk about the legacy of Diablo 1 because it was released at the very, very end of 1996 and it was a critical and commercial success. And it's pretty much like, I mean, even now playing it in 2026, I found myself last night specifically being like, I gotta play one more run in the dungeon. Like I just went to town, but I gotta go back in. Like I just had that feeling to it. I wanted to keep going.
What are they gonna drop this time? If I just play a little bit more, I might get the thing.
Yeah. And it's 30 years later and I still have that feeling in this game. And that's amazing to me. And also it feels good to just kill monsters. Like I have a staff of electric like lightning charges and I just like open the door, I shoot it into a room and then I close the door. Like, it's just kind of funny. And that those kind of moments that I think are really silly in this game and really fun. And then of course, like you said, Torchlight, Path of Exile, those all these types of action RPG games, they wouldn't exist without Diablo's influence. Like
Mhm.
also, I mean, Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance, which is something that I love. I think that's very much Diablo inspired, I would say.
Yeah, and
So
and
same with Champions of Norway. Same thing.
depending on how like much credit you want to give them for other things, it's like the Borderlands series, like you were saying, is like Diablo with guns, right? Like Destiny is sort of a continuation of the Borderlands thing. Like anything with like randomized loot, and I'm not saying they did randomized loot first, but
They
I
didn't,
think
but they
they cracked.
popularized it.
Yes, they cracked the code of like monster dies, I get something new and that's useful to me right now that like is very clearly an upgrade or whatever, or I can see the value in this thing. And again, I'm not saying no other games did this before that, but they just really nailed it, you know?
They did. They nailed it so well. So that's the legacy of Diablo. But before we move on to our next segment, I do have here Mike Coletta's helpful Diablo tips for today.
Oh, I wish I had a
Okay.
jingle for that. Mike Coletta's helpful Diablo tips for today.
I think we do. I
All
think
right.
we just got a jingle for it. Perfect. So
We'll
first thing I
have to
would
use that in the
say
next episode when we talk about
is
Diablo 2.
I'm going to reiterate it again. Yeah, for sure. I'm going to reiterate it again. Buy the game on Good Old Games or Blizzard. Good Old Games is my personal preference. I bought it on Blizzard because I saw it was $2 off. But really, you want the DRM free version. You want to use Devolution X. Then when you go into Devolution X, before you start playing, you want to go into the config file. Okay. And it's in your app data file on Windows, like that secret hidden file. So you got to get the path, but you can just, again, you can Google all this stuff, right? Get the path, open that. And then all you're going to do is go into that file and turn things off by either a 1 being true or 0 off, very binary, right? And so the things that I, for example, turned on are always run in town, always auto pick up gold, because otherwise you have to click on it manually. And it gets annoying.
Newer games
Auto
just
pick
do
up
that
potions.
now, right?
Yeah, the newer games just do that, but these little things didn't happen. There is one thing I wish I could turn on in the game that I can't turn on, and I probably should have said this in the gameplay section, but health does not auto-generate. Mana does not auto-generate. So when you use it, it just sits there and it's gone. And that's adds a whole new dimension where you are going to be using potions all the time. That's the game, is you pop in potions, pop in your skills, like balance. That's
like
the
mana
balancing
doesn't
act.
refill automatically?
No, it's like you need to use your potions.
Oh.
That's like, yeah, that's kind of a glaring misstep on my part to not put that in the gameplay section, but at least we're talking about it now. Like there's potions are actually important. Gold is important because you need to buy potions. It doesn't drop enough, especially if you're a mana character like the sorcerer, unless I'm doing something wrong, which is a very good chance I am. But yeah, so go in those settings, change things around. Sorcerer, by the numbers, is the strongest class in the game. If you want to play it on higher difficulties, you probably want to play a sorcerer. I did it this run, not because it was the strongest, but because it was also the one I had never played.
Oh.
Like I was always a rogue or a warrior. So I wanted to play as a sorcerer, and you are very much a glass cannon early on. Second thing I want to say is not the second thing, but another thing I want to say is if you play Hellfire, just know there is a certain point you should go and do the DLC at. I've read
It's not a
things that
post game
said
thing. It's like during the game.
it's during. Yeah. It's like I've read a thing saying that sometimes the game like won't let you do it if you go too far. And it's more of like a mid-game DLC, and that you want to it's so the thing I read said you want to do it when you're like on level 8 or 9 of the main dungeon, go do the DLC. Is kind of how it works. So that's something, but I would also again like look all this stuff up, double check, read because it's got that old video game punishing thing.
Where if
That
you
I'm
play
trying to help you
wrong,
with.
you might need to start over totally.
Yeah, exactly. Like you want to make sure you play this right. That goes on to my next thing. Staffs lose charges over time. If you want to recharge the staff, you can use your staff recharge spell. What it doesn't tell you, unless you read the manual, is you lose total charges. So, for example, I had 40 charges on my Staff of Lightning. I recharged it myself, and it went down permanently to 26 charges.
Whoa,
If
that's
you
a
want
sharp
to,
drop.
if you want to avoid this, go to Adria and have her recharge your staff. I did not know this. I am telling you now so you don't get hurt like I did.
Thank you.
Okay. And then the last piece of advice I'm going to give you is never stop saving, because this game is, you have to save all the time. There's no autosave. save it.
Mm,
Just if
classic.
you're like, hey, I need to save, just save it. Just don't even think about it. Just hit escape and save the game. It takes 2 seconds. It's gonna save it for you. There's no loading like multiple saves. It just goes off whatever your last save was. So
Oh.
you gotta save it. Just save it. Don't be afraid. Okay.
And if you die, you go back to your save.
Yep. You just go back to you just load them back to your save.
Dang,
So
don't save right before
it's-
dying.
yeah, save scum. Don't save in the middle of fights, I would say. Save before the fight so you don't get stuck. Just throwing it out there. All right. Now is the time. I almost forgot about this. Have you heard of the cow levels?
I have heard rumor of the cow level. I don't
So-
know the lore here.
Diablo games have a secret Easter egg cow level in them. I can't say definitively that every single one has it, but I know Diablo 1 and Diablo 2 have it. Okay. A level where you fight cows, right? It's like an Easter egg. So I think I am going to save this for its own episode
There,
because
you could-
this to me is one of the most fun. It's in enough Diablo games. I'm pretty sure. We're just gonna Google it. Does every Diablo game have a cow level? I'm pretty sure it does. They definitely have it in. Yeah, it's in Diablo. It's in Diablo 2. I don't know. It's definitely, I think they added it to Diablo 4. Yeah, so there's such a mention of the oxen gods and a cow-shaped map in Diablo 4. So I don't know if in Diablo 3 it does the same thing, but I kind of like that's why I honestly don't know, which is why I want to do an episode on it, because I think every single Diablo game has either rumors or an actual secret cow level in it. And I want to talk about that just for one episode.
All right.
Because I think it's a silly, fun thing to the point where I was like, I know in Diablo 2, you use the Herodric cube to get there. Like, because I did that enough to remember.
Mhm.
I don't even know how to get there in Diablo 1. Like, and I didn't look it up because I'm like, I just want to do this. What I want to do is I want to spend an episode every, like 1 week where I go into every Diablo game and try to unlock the cow level and explain how it works. I think that would just be a really silly episode and it'd be fun. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's a level where you fight cows walking on 2 legs and it drops the best loot. It's like
Okay.
such a good loot level. It's just a loot farm, essentially. It's like the loot cave in Destiny.
I'm
It's like that,
excited.
but with cows.
Ooh.
Instead of dregs, there's just endless cows, which is pretty cool. So, also the cows kill you. But anyway, Tyler, what you been playing?
I've been playing Final Fantasy VII Remake. And also, full disclosure, we are recording this only a couple of days after we recorded our last episode because I'm going to be gone for a little while. So we recorded this one a little bit early so we could drop it. It's Wednesday night. So
That's a good
Uh,
announcement because that means not this week, but the next week we're gonna have a remastered episode.
yeah, because I will not be back yet. So I've been playing Final Fantasy VII Remake. That's pretty much it because we've been doing a lot of preparation for our trip coming up. So that's kind of it. I'm also preparing my various game devices with games so that I can then not play them when I'm where I'm going.
That's the schmove.
That's how it goes. Yeah. So I'm bringing my Switch too with Metroid Prime 4. Would like to put some time into that. Probably won't. I'm bringing my Thor with me. Maybe I'll download Devolution X for Android.
Dude, you should see if you can get it running on the Thor. It's gotta work. It definitely has the power to run it. This without a question.
Oh yeah. I'm sure it does. If the Miu Mini has a Devolution X port, I'm sure the Thor can run it. I'm not worried about that. But
Yeah, you just want to use the Android port then, because like all those systems are Android operating systems, right?
Yeah.
Like the Thor, the Retroid,
yeah.
like they're all except for Miu Mini's not, but
Yeah.
those other ones are.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll probably just do that. There's going to be some setup because I'm gonna have to like get the files from my legally purchased copy of the game.
Obviously.
Which I think I bought. I think I bought it on Good Old Games and Blizzard. I think I bought it in both places.
Yeah,
now.
both nice.
Yeah.
I actually think I somewhere have my Diablo 2 discs.
Ooh, I bet you could just
Like the
rip the
physical
content
discs.
straight off.
I mean,
the
yeah,
disc.
it's my legal copy.
Mm-hmm.
So then my
Now-
legal copy that I got from my friend Tony in high school in 2002.
Here's a question for you: do you have a DVD drive or CD drive or
No,
Blu-ray drive?
I do not.
Well,
I would have to purchase one. I would have to go to my local library and rip the files.
yeah,
Will they let
truly.
me do that on their computers? I don't know.
maybe.
I'll be like, hey, I'm trying to rip Diablo on here. I'll even give you a copy. I'll tell them.
But they
There
have to have
are-
legally purchased it, obviously.
I mean, yeah, obviously. Yeah, they have to have.
You're
I
just
mean, you
giving
have to
them a
have-
backup
They're a
of their
library.
legally
They're an,
purchased copy.
yeah, they're an archive, you will.
Yeah.
So, in fact, the Seattle Library did have video games one time when I went. They had a Xbox 360 games, which I was like, that's really cool.
That is
you guys have a whole library of video games here for people.
That's cool.
So that was neat.
Nice. Well, what have you been playing, Mike?
I'm playing a lot more Diablo 4, but the last couple nights it's only been Diablo 1. Like I'm playing it. So I'm gonna level with everybody. Sometimes Tyler and I play these games and they're kind of duds. I'm gonna be honest with you. Alex Kidd in Miracle World was kind of a dud for me. Like
Not
I
super
was
fun.
excited to play that game and then I discovered that it's not my thing. And so that happens. Diablo is the polar opposite of that. I love Diablo. And it makes me want to go back and play these really old ones, like these Rogue and Moria and Angmar, like is it Angmar or Angband? I mean, I gotta look
I don't know.
because there's both. I think it's Ang. What did I put in the thing? I'm getting confused. But anyway, it's not important. But yeah, so I want to play these older games that were like we took D&D and Lord of the Rings and tried to turn them into early PC games, and they're all ASCII keys and ASCII characters, and it's like I'm gonna be this @ symbol, and I'm gonna walk through this dungeon made of dashes, and I'm gonna use my imagination to figure it out. And I think that's kind of fun. So
Yeah.
I might play that. I don't know if that'll be popular. It's very much not a popular thing, but
the original Rogue is probably worth checking out just because, I mean, there's a whole genre called roguelikes, right?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that would be the one to play for sure. Moria is less popular, but is named after Lord of the Rings, so I'm in.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. But yeah, I've been playing that. I've been playing some Battlefield still too. But other than that, kind of taking it a little chill. I'm also going to be out of town this weekend, so I'm also going to bring some video games that I will also not play. So
as
there
is
you go.
tradition.
As is tradition. But with that, things you can do to support us, you can go to codexpodcast.net. That's our website. It's got all our stuff on there. You can go to our Discord through that as well and join our Discord. You got to click the little rules thing, say you agree, and then you can join the Discord. And then you also can email us, codexhistorypodcast@gmail.com. But more importantly, you can just tell your friends about us. You can leave us a nice review on Apple or Spotify.
Yeah.
You can do, you can do whatever you want. You can take a break from the podcast for all I care, right? It's free. It's $3.99. This is not good promotion. This is really bad at promotion.
I mean, thanks for
you can
listening.
live
You
your
don't
life.
have to, I guess.
So you can live your life. You can do whatever you want.
That's true.
You can play I really want you to do is play Diablo and tell me what you thought about it. That's really what I want you to do. Because I would love it. I just like talking about Diablo. I love it so much. I like this old. There's something really like I think comforting to me about these older computer RPGs like this. Because it feels like a time when it's very nostalgia based, where you're just like, it's me, I'm 10 years old, I got a Mountain Dew, I'm sitting at this computer getting scared at the butcher, and that's really fun to me.
And it's not
that's
trying to
just
sell you stuff the whole time. It's just you bought the game, they're happy you did that, and now here's some fun.
And you know what? It's gonna crash a couple times probably for some weird reason because it's PC gaming in the 90s, and that's okay because you can just restart it.
And it's gonna run at 10 frames per second.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're playing on your 1994 486.
The loading screens are like these pictures of the stairs that lead in the dungeon, and you're just like, this would have taken like 2 minutes 30 years ago.
The CD drive would spin up because you probably didn't install the whole game from the CD because you didn't have enough space to install the whole game. You think I'm going to put the cutscenes on here? Absolutely not.
You know how many megabytes I have? Not a lot.
Not a lot.
Okay. All right. But with that, though, that's the episode today. Thank you, Tyler, for agreeing to jump in before you catch your flight to rush through Diablo with me.
Yeah, no problem.
With that, you want to say goodbye to everybody?
Yeah. Goodbye, everybody.
I'm still dancing.
Oh, I'm still dancing too.